We all have different body types and different nutritional needs considering those body types. One thing I think that's universal for a healthy lifestyle is eating a diet that's vegetable-centric. Mostly fruits and vegetables, get your protein in too, but I keep in tune with what's in season by shopping at my local farmer's market. Doing this each week, I pick ingredients, vegetables that are exciting, and I use that as a focal point to base a meal around. Hello and welcome to my kitchen. I'm Nicole, and today we're going to be making the wild mushroom croquette and an arugula salad with strawberries, goat cheese, and a lemon verbena vinaigrette. I'm going to infuse this olive oil with lemon verbena, which is a beautiful, fragrant, aromatic herb. It's great to make tea. It's great to infuse oil. You can even put it in soup as a flavoring. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to take 3 stems of this, add 3/4 cup of olive oil into my pan, turn it on medium heat, and I'm going to keep this on my radar as I only want it to come to a simmer for 1 minute to get that flavor locked in. Then I'm going to turn it off and let it set for 3 hours. So a great thing to do to make an exciting salad dressing is roast any member of the onion family. Again, it could be leeks, it could be shallots. Today I'm doing a roasted shallot dressing, or it could be just white onion. Halve it or quarter it, whatever. This is kind of the size we're looking at. So if you're dealing with shallots, you're halving them. If you're going to do an onion, I would quarter it. And generally roasting it at 400 degrees for about 15 to 20 minutes should do the trick. So I'm just going to slice off the ends of these shallots and cut them in half lengthwise. Peel off that bit. We don't need these little green sprouted onion segments inside, so I'm going to pick those out. Another thing I love to do with salads is add some warm or shaved fennel. So I'm going to have this bulb lengthwise and cut off this top bit. It's extra licoricey up there. And peel off this outer bit. And I'm going to cut on the hinge. This core is a great hinge. So I'm going to thinly slice, leaving a hinge all around the bulb. So I've just checking on my shallots. These have been roasting for 15 minutes and they're softening up quite nicely. I'm going to let them soften for another 3 minutes in the oven. Meanwhile, my fennel is almost to where I want it to be too. That is part of the salad. Want it nice and soft. So this lemon verbena infused olive oil has been steeping for 3 hours. We're going to pour the oil through a sieve to catch the sprigs. They're not even coming out, so that's awesome. And now we're going to use this olive oil in our dressing. So first I'm going to add my roasted shallots into the Vitamix, followed by a 1/4 cup of champagne vinegar, 2 tablespoons of maple syrup or honey, your choice. I'm going to use maple syrup. About a teaspoon of salt. Some black pepper. And what's going to happen now is I'm going to blend this, and while I'm blending, I'm going to add in a slow, steady stream of my lemon verbena olive oil while I'm blending in order to emulsify. Medium now I'm going to take a little leaf of baby arugula over here and taste my dressing and see if I need to adjust my salt and pepper quantity. Definitely feeling the lemon verbena floral element coming in. I wanted a bit, I was going to say I wanted more pepper, and then the aftertaste of pepper from the arugula came in. And there we have our lemon verbena infused roasted shallot champagne vinaigrette. I'm going to add it in here. My measuring cup for easy pour. And the other ingredients are ready. I've washed my baby arugula. I've chopped my strawberries. I have my calendula flowers, which I'm just gonna pluck as I make the salads. These make great tea also. They make powder that can be used for medicinal purposes. And then I have my Humboldt Fog, which is a lovely local goat cheese from Humboldt County with ash down the middle. Great thing to do with salads is layers. So I've just added a little handful of my warm caramelized fennel. Now I've added some strawberries and I'm going to pluck off these calendula flowers. Just quite nice for a very spring-like, decorative, festive effect. And now I'm going to add in a little bit of my salad dressing and I'm going to toss. All of the goods sometimes go to the bottom. Don't forget we have our lovely Humboldt Fog chev that we're going to introduce in as well. So now we're going to add another handful, more strawberries, more calendula. Nice hearty handful here, no skimpy plate. I really like a full plate. I don't like showing up to a farm-to-table restaurant and spending $100 and getting scraps. This is a full plate. So, isn't that lovely? So we'll make sure everybody gets enough fennel and a few extra berries for good measure. Okay, now we're going to crumble this gorgeous Humboldt Fog on top. And I like to put little spots in the middle of the strawberries. I think that's pretty cute. Okay. I really don't think it needs more pepper, so we're just going to do a little salt sprinkle. And then we're going to do a little pecan sprinkle. So how cute and festive is this salad? The wild mushroom croquette is fancy. It's full of nutrition. It has 3 sources of protein. And today it's full of fresh ingredients from the farmer's market. If you're a busy person, you want food on the go, you're trying to sustain a vegetarian lifestyle, but you don't have time to be cooking every day, this is a great recipe to make in a large batch, freeze some of it, and then treat it like a veggie burger that you bought at the store, but it tastes better. So that's what's going on today. So here we have these fabulous trumpet mushrooms, maitake mushrooms, and oyster mushrooms that are going to be the focal point of our entree. So I'm going to start cutting these king trumpet mushrooms. If you have access to great wild mushrooms, that's wonderful. If you don't, you can also use cremini mushrooms or portobello mushrooms. So with these king trumpets, I'm going to keep them, my goal is to keep them looking as much like a mushroom as possible. This is going to be blended into a batter kind of patty mixture, but I want people to still be able to see that it's a mushroom. oyster mushrooms, you really don't want to do too much to them other than cut off the stem. They're very cute as is, and you don't want to spoil the shape of them. So just cutting off the base. I also like to save my mushroom stems. When I make mushroom dishes like that, I save all my stems and I freeze them, and then I throw that into a broth later to make a really rich vegetable broth. Lastly, I'm going to keep these separate. These are my taki mushrooms, also known as hen of the woods. They're really meaty, super rich, decadent mushrooms. Same thing, you don't want to mess with their shape too much, just cut off the base. And I'll save that for a stock at a later date. And they don't even really need to be cut. You just kind of gently pull them apart. The goal here is really getting all the mushrooms in a relatively uniform shape, as this is going to become a croquette. Spring onions are an exciting thing at the farmer's market right now. When they're not in season, just go for yellow or red onions. Make fine substitute. So we're talking about tempeh, the magical fermented soybean. Of any vegetarian options for protein, this is my personal favorite. It's from Indonesia, and it's a popular street food there, and I had some of the best tempeh of my life when I went to Indonesia. And what I'm doing is cutting it up very finely. It's the third part of the trifecta of protein that makes up our wild mushroom croquette. I find tempeh much more easy to digest than tofu because it's fermented. And I think it just tastes better, ultimately, and is, you have to do some things to it to make it taste good, but that's exactly what we're about to do right now. So here we have our tempeh finely chopped. Plucking the parsley. Don't want those bitter stems. When you're dealing with cilantro, stems are okay, but when you're dealing with parsley, you just want the leaf, because the stem's bitter. Parsley, although it may seem like a redundant garnish, is actually a superfood. All right. Here we are at our skillets. We have both skillets on medium heat. I'm going to let them warm up real quick, because when you heat up a pan, it opens up the pores of that pan, making a better passageway for fat, like oil and butter, to get in there, permeate your pan. I'm here to tell you today that fat is good for you. Some fat, like butter, 2 tablespoons. Whoop. I choose between 3 different kinds of fats to cook with: coconut oil, butter, or olive oil. That's pretty much it. There's some circumstances that sesame oil is great, but generally I think these are the healthiest fats for you, and they each have their good application. For example, I'm just lightly sauteing this tempeh here that I'm about to put in the olive oil. If I was deep frying it, I would use coconut oil. I'm going to stir it in with my spring onions. On medium heat here, we're going to saute for about 7 minutes, 5 to 7 minutes on the spring onions until they get translucent. And about, 7 minutes to 10 minutes for the tempeh until it gets a little bit browned. A little salt to assist in the cooking process. Now you can add the king trumpet mushrooms. A little bit of salt helps pull out the flavor of mushrooms while they're cooking. Don't be shy. Salt. Salt makes things taste good. I'm going to turn the heat down. It's getting a little smoky in here. I want a nice crispy brown, like here, is what we want with the tempeh. I'm gonna make sure things get evenly cooked over here. Kind of toasting the tempeh, if you will. After a minute, I'm gonna deglaze this mushroom and onion mixture with some dry white wine, some Crane Lake Sauvignon Blanc. You don't have to buy any wine that's fancy for cooking, it just should taste decent. I'm pleased with this tempeh, so I'm going to now move it into this pan where I'll be combining all the ingredients ultimately to make our wild mushroom batter. It's time to deglaze with a little bit of 1/4 cup, to be precise, white wine. And you want to let that cook off until the majority of this liquid absorbs into the mushrooms. There's going to be a nice juicy element that you could reserve and use for a sauce later if you'd like. So I've lightly beaten 2 eggs, and I'm going to add in a tablespoon of tamari. I'm using tamari to make it gluten-free. You're welcome to use plain soy sauce. So what I have in here is the mushroom and onion mixture, discluding the maitakes, which I've left out, tempeh, and I'm going to add in a cup of cooked quinoa that I've cooked with vegetable broth, 2 tablespoons of flour, which this is gluten-free flour, you're welcome to use regular flour, and 2 tablespoons of nutritional yeast, revered by hippies for being magical and delicious. The parsley I've chopped, which is about 2 tablespoons. Half a cup of shredded jack cheese. And my egg mixture. Well, first we're going to give all these dry things a stir. So I've added in the 2 lightly beaten eggs and a tablespoon of tamari. I'm going to give that a nice thorough mixing to incorporate all the ingredients. A couple grinds of black pepper for good measure. And this is my batter. I'm gonna combine this on top of each patty once I make the individual patties as kind of a garnish built within the croquette. But right now what we have here is the makings for your wild mushroom croquette. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cover this and let this sit in the fridge for an hour so the ingredients have time to mingle. And then we'll grill it up. So we've had our wild mushroom croquette batter chilling in the fridge for an hour. And now it's time to make patties. So I'm going to use half of this. So just with my finger, I'm dividing that. I'm going to save this other half for later. And I recommend doing the same if you want to have some veggie burgers for later. So I'm just using my hands here. You could use a cup if you want exact measurements, but I prefer to just shape them with my hands. And this is kind of the shape that you want. And I like to make sure that little mushrooms are protruding out so you can see that it's a mushroom croquette. Pretty cute. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm going to save this other 4 for later. You could keep it in the fridge for, I would say, 4 days max. Or you could freeze it if you want to use it sometime after then. The coconut oil is better for high heat than olive oil, obviously. So I'm just being really generous with my use of coconut oil here, and I'll probably put that back in my little bowl. Just oiling up the griddle. Medium, high heat. So this wild mushroom croquette is one of the first recipes that I've developed. I've been working on it tweaking it for about 4 years, and it's my response to a veggie burger, an American veggie burger, which I've had a lot of disappointing veggie burgers in my time with vegetarian tendencies. And what I wanted, what my goal is, and what I hope you'll find in this recipe is that it's a very fresh, very light, super protein, delicious vegetarian entree. So we're going to go ahead, the griddle is ready, so we're going to go ahead and just pop them on. Three to 4 minutes aside is the way here. I'm using the whole griddle. That's the beauty of this cast iron griddle. Don't crowd the pan if you're using a pan at home. You can work in small batches. So I'm going 3 minutes here, and then we'll see what's happening. The first time I made this recipe, I just used brown mushrooms and Nameko. But anyway, you can use any mushrooms that you like. So we are at about 3 minutes per side. So I'm gonna check this one out. It's okay to use your fingers. Oh. See, if they break apart a little bit, it's okay because they can be easily shaped back into place. So that's kind of the golden that we're going for here. So you could serve this on a bun with your favorite toppings. Tomato, lettuce, onion, maybe some aioli would be nice. You could just eat it by itself. We're going to serve it tonight with a sauce that was made with the juices from earlier when we cooked the mushroom. I reserved those juices, which was basically a tasty mixture of white wine and mushroom juice and butter. So we're going to add some fresh herbs to that and then serve it with these croquettes. So here we go. That's the professional way instead of the... I'm doing these two end ones because that is the hottest spot on the griddle. Look at that lovely golden result. Thank you for joining me in my kitchen. My name is Nikole, and it's been a pleasure sharing with you some of my favorite recipes in the beginning of what I hope will be our journey together in discovering food, food politics, food theories, and reasons why eating well will help you live a better life.